Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we've got some Bethgon Coalporters HO scale in the background, and Athearn has released a new version of these Coalporters, and by new version I mean the body has been retooled. So we're going to cover the most recent release of the UP Bethgon Coalporters from Athearn in HO scale starting right now. Now you probably see I've got some previous Coalporters in the background already on the track ready to run with these. These come in 5 packs, and as you can see here the coal loads are included. So we've got this 5-pack, this 5-pack here, which is just more road number variations, and lastly we have a third 5-pack again with more road number variations. So as you saw earlier, the side has the road numbers and all the information, including the item numbers. These are in stock now at athearn.com and your favorite retailers still, so you can check them out. A lot of them are still in stock. But let's get these out of the box. Alright, so we're just gonna break the seal and lift the lid. Is how you would get these out of the box. Then you lift plastic. A little bit here, but you have these cars, which are very nice. Nice reflective siding there. There's some foam protecting these. Pull these out of the box one by one. Because behind the box, behind the plastic, is looks like an Athearn news flyer there. So these just pop out from this plastic frame, plastic tray. We're good to go. So I've lifted out the tray, and you have the Athearn news flyer here, and also tucked away is a small piece of paperwork about the Coalporter. Quite a few parts, as you can see on the parts exploded parts diagram. Then you have information on the back about Horizon's 1-year warranty and some more information as well. And that is all you have in the packaging. Alright, I've removed the coal load here to take a look at the car's interior bracing as well. If you'd like to see what the coal load looks like, there you have it. There's some support braces in there that line up with just to the side of the other bracing, and there's 2 kind of large anchors, if you will, that kind of help hold the coal load down. To remove the coal load, you want to get something very thin but not abrasive to kind of pry it out, or just flip it upside down and kind of work the edge. And as you can see, I was able to remove it without any damage to the sides. It does have a secure fit though. Speaking of the inside, there's 3 cross braces to help the structure of the car on the real thing, and that's present here, as well as some cross bracing down right below these. You can see from an angle that go into each sides of the tubs, as I call them, where the coal would sit. I also have some of these from over the years, so I'll show you some of the variations and differences that we see as we go along. But on the side, you've got your rotary end marked here. In a lot of consists, you'll see the rotary ends mixed, but if they're loaded, you'll see them all on one end, because when they go through the plants to dump the coal, that rotary end, that coupler mechanism turns, helping to dump the car upside down and release all the coal that way. So that is how these are, have the coal released. There's no gates underneath, you'll notice. There's separately applied grab irons, metal wheels. You have your springs on your trucks there. Union Pacific Shield UP 29,000 is this number in particular, but there's also load limit written and some other specifications and warnings written on this car. You also see on the bottom the safety striping. I believe that's what that is. It should be, those are safety stripes on the bottom of the tub there. On this end, you can see that there's some rivet detail on each edge of the corrugations of this car. You can see the separately applied grabs even more so. And as I turn this, you can see the brake wheel. There's a brake chain going into a crossover platform that appears to be etched metal, and McHenry couplers. On the other side, more of the same. You got your Union Pacific Shield, nice and legible. Separately applied grabs. As we noted before, the road number and some more detail that's legible. Appears to be legible, but if I go much further, we're going to get past infinity focus, but it appears that's all legible writing. You guys can read it better than I can on a big screen. So that's about it for the car. In McHenry's, they do have the magnetic glad hands, so you have kind of a airline hose look to those. A lot of people leave those for that reason. And more grabs on going across the whole body of the car. Now if I pull a different version here and I drop the coal load in, so you'll see some of the differences over the years. Let me just get back to where you can see better. But we'll go end to end here. The first thing you'll notice is there's a difference in the lip of these and a slight difference in the height. Let me get you towards a more level view so you can see that. So the one on the left is from the previous run. The one on the right is from the new run. So you can see that there is a difference in height. They have retooled these, and they've retooled them to be more accurate. And really, these have been released for years, so Athearn retooling these and the costs associated shows you their dedication kind of to the real thing, because it's so subtle, but so important, I think, for future runs of Bethgons to be correct. So that is really the main difference, is the frame, the body frame of this car in the tooling. I'm looking for other differences, and bear with me, it's early in the morning, but I think the sill may be a little differently pronounced, but it really just comes down to that height of the car and the proper dimensions of the car. So as you can see here, it's really prominent when you look at the ends, how much taller this end is compared to this end. So as far as detail goes, I believe they're roughly the same. You got your metal coupler, your metal wheels, your Katy couplers, and the same trucks, but that body is retooled, hopefully for future runs of these as well. Another difference, not necessarily for just this run, again 29,000 is this recent run, but it's the reflectivity of the sides. There's different levels. You may be able to catch it on camera. You'll probably be able to catch it far better on the Runby. So this is a UP CMO patch. it's got a higher degree of reflectivity. We also have a previous run that's more of a matte in reflectivity, so it more closely matches this current run. So I think they've just tried different finishes to see, and I think they all look good, and especially since I'm not much into weathering yet, just because I feel like I need to get my scenery done before I start thinking about weathering. It gives a nice variation if you've gotten a lot of different runs, you know, to show that these things are in different stages of new or old. But this one's probably the most highly reflective from our previous run here. So different levels of reflectivity on the finish, at least for the UPCMO, is something I noticed as well. Alright, we're going to do a free rolling test. These seem to roll very, very well. Body wobble is minimal. Some of them do have a little bit of a shimmy for a longer period of time, and that reflectivity can help kind of really show that. But overall, you will not have any drag on this train. One locomotive pretty much from anybody will pull a lot of these, and because they're short enough, they're light enough. And then the longer trains, like say you're trying to model post PSR, 2 locomotives max. So they're definitely not a weight or a drag down on anybody's railroad. We're going to go ahead and weigh this, and it weighs in at 4.2 ounces and 118 grams. So the length of this car body is 6 3/4, and if you do the NMRA standards at initial ounce plus half an ounce per inch, you're going to be at 4.375, and you're at 4.2 with coal load. So you're going to be just slightly light. I think that's an indifferent amount of light with the coal load. Without the coal load, you may want to consider weights or something, but I'll show you what the weight is without the coal load. All right, weight without coal load is 3.8. And one other note, if you push on one end of the coal load, it kind of helps pop it out a lot easier than what I was messing with earlier by trying to turn it upside down, shimmy it, and all that stuff. All right, we have coupler height test. As you can see, it's spot on, essentially on that end. We'll check the opposite end. Also spot on. So I'll test a few of these. If there's any variations, I'll put that in the quick stats up front of the video. One other point to make with weight, I have ran some of these around and I'm not having any issue with tracking, even though they're very slightly under the NMRA weight requirements. Usually, unless it's a big difference, half an ounce or more, you know, you don't usually have that much of a difference. So, or I should say, you know, a few ounces or more. One other thing to check on screen here is the wheel sets. Wheel sets are typically in gauge. I don't run into that a lot. And these are in gauge as well. Well, that's going to wrap up our look at the HO scale Bethgon Coalporters from Athearn. The most recent release. Again, please note that this is an updated tooling compared to the other ones as shown in the video, and an updated tooling can mean more accuracy, prototypical accuracy for what the real cars look like, just like in this case. Really no fouls on this video that I could find. The coupler height was NMRA standard along with the wheel sets. A little bit of body wobble. The weight was in the neighborhood of the NMRA standards with the coal load, and slightly lighter without the coal load. They roll great. Overall, great cars, and still for a pretty decent value if you ask me. So we will leave you with a run-by of these cars. The first 15 cars are going to be the most recent release in case you're trying to spot this recent release in this very long consist. And speaking of long consist, A lot of people give McHenry couplers grief, but I have low amount of problems with McHenry couplers in operations on my layout compared to other manufacturers' couplers that come with their cars if they're making their own couplers. So I'll demonstrate that with this really long consist, but I pulled some pretty heavy trains without McHenry couplers giving away. So I know they can be problematic any coupler with a spring, but I have low problems with the McHenry couplers, so I'm not really one of those people that thinks that, you know, everything has to be changed out. So if it runs, it runs, and if it's not decoupling from slight variations in my layout, then I'm good to go. So with that said, we'll leave you with a run by. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.
Many of the products you see in this video are available at trainworld.com. Since 1968, this family-owned business has been serving the needs of the modeling community with 2 New York brick-and-mortar store locations in Brooklyn and Long Island, plus their vast array of online items. Shop 24/7 at trainworld.com.